Hi, welcome to Take a Break, Take a Breath for Monday, September 21st. My name is Rick Boyer. I'm the pastor of Prospect Presbyterian Church, and Take a Break, Take a Breath is an invitation for you to pause in your day and to center yourself in God. Each time we come together, I've lifted up a different psalm, and today is Psalm 78. Psalm 78 is a little on the long side. It is called a historical psalm, or categorized as a historical psalm. But it's not history in the way we think of history. It's more history in order to tell it to make a point, to encourage people, and in this case, to encourage hope and obedience. The story tells the history of the people of God, of Israel, and it goes in a pattern. The pattern is a pattern of God's gracious activity, the people's rebellion, God's anger and punishment, and then God's restoration. It always comes back to God's restoration. So it answers that question, how can a history of rebellion end in hope? And it is because God always comes to restore the people. The verse that I want to focus on for you is verse 7, which is before the telling of the history. It's in the introduction. So that they should set their hope in God and not forget the works of God, but keep his commandments. That kind of sums it up, the purpose. We remember history so that we can remember the gracious activity of God and find hope in it. And in these days of a pandemic and all the things that are happening in our world, to remember the gracious activity of God and find hope in that is huge. At least it is for me. So I invite you to go to a place where you can be quiet and shut the door and settle into a chair. Feel the support of the ground under your feet. Feel the support of the chair on the back of your legs and on your back and under your arms. And close your eyes. Take a deep breath. And as you breathe in the breath of God. And as you breathe out all that separates you from God. Continue to breathe deeply. Breathe in the breath of God. Breathe out all that separates you from God. Breathe in the peace and calm of God's presence. Breathe out all the anxiety and frustration and fear. Continue to breathe deeply. And as you do, let that peace spread from your lungs to all of your body. Nice deep breaths in and out. In and out. And imagine that the peace of God washes over you like water, like the warm water of a shower, washing down over your head and your face, relaxing the muscles in your jaw, washing down over your neck, relieving the tension in the muscles of your neck, washing down over your shoulders and your arms and your hands, relieving all the tensions in your shoulders and arms and hands. Maybe turn your hands palm up and open them to receive the presence and peace of God. That water washes down over your chest and your stomach, and the warmth of the water calms the churning that may be going on in your stomach, if there is any. It washes down your back, and it relieves all the tensions in your back. It washes down over your hips and your thighs, your knees and your calves, your ankles and your feet. You are washed in the peace and presence of God from head to toe. Continue to breathe deeply. And imagine sitting at a campfire. It's just you tending a fire. It's a place where perhaps you tell stories. And as you're sitting at that campfire, you're thinking of all the stories of God's activity in you and in the people you know, of God's grace and forgiveness in times past when you've come up short, of God's surprising presence when you thought God was absent. And then coming into the light of the fire you see the presence of God. It might be Jesus. It might be some other form for God. It might be a woman. It might be a man. It might be someone younger. It might be someone older. The presence of God sits down beside you. And the two of you have an opportunity to talk about God's history with you. And you have a chance to say in these moments the things that are weighing heavily on your mind, whether they are joys or concerns. I'll be quiet for a few moments. And then the time comes for the two of you to say goodbye. You know that you can always come back to this place and chat with God. And you say goodbye in whatever way is appropriate. And you let that image fade away. And you bring yourself back to the room where you are. And when you are ready, you open your eyes. Well, that's Take a Break, Take a Breath for Monday, September 21st. If you want to talk or pray with me or have feedback for me, send an email to rick@prospectchurch.org.